this story, and they called for an independent autopsy, which I assume they paid for. So they had his body exhumed, and it was found when the new medical examiner opened him up. He was missing all of his internal organs, and in their place was newspaper. To us, that sounds super weird. Like, what? What do you mean? But apparently, it's not that strange. The funeral home said when they got the body after the original autopsy, they didn't get any organs. They sent the body with no organs. So the funeral home needed to stuff him so that there wouldn't be, like, I guess it would like droop, his chest and all would like droop without the organs. So they filled it with newspaper. Supposedly newspaper is not really the approved thing to use, but that's not really, so criminal, you know what I'm saying? So then the question for the coroner was, why didn't you return the organs? Because the coroner, when they do the autopsy, they take out the organs, they examine them, they weigh them to see, cause of death, time of death, all that. Well, they claimed that the organs were so decomposed after they used them, they threw them away. And that is why they returned the body to the funeral home without organs. So that's what they said. Okay, so then the new medical examiner also found that he had had a head trauma. Okay. And suspicious.